Like, you can't have a standard of 6'2". Human beings aren't that
Most
tall.
people, yeah, it's like a 1% of like a popular.
They're
Like, it's very
taken,
few.
fam. And if they're not taken, they don't
something wrong with
want
them.
you. Like, no, there's nothing. They're 6'2". There's nothing wrong with them. They just don't
See, that's the
want
problem.
you.
That's the
I'm
problem.
not gonna pretend. We all know what it is. We all know what it is. Come on. I'm not gonna. Come on.
No, but that's like the problem with dudes who are like 6'5" because they can get every girl. They then have this huge ass ego. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to try.
Exactly. That is just the social hierarchy.
6'5" is like the mask. Now you don't have to be a good human.
And you don't. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Intellectual Podcast, where we're just putting a little sprinkle this time. Sprinkle of nuance in the polarizing conversations of the internet. I'm Jem.
And I'm Renee.
And we are your hosts for today.
What it do,
We are back on our BS low-key. We're doing some really intense, wild conversations again.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is this going to be really... Actually, you know what it is?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
We're going to be on our like little soapbox situation, talking about these things. Subject of today is dating apps. Yes. We all love those. We all use those. We all should stop using them low key. But that's neither here nor there. It's going to be an interesting little situation. For all intents and purposes, let us know if you use dating apps. And let us know how you use dating apps. Are you like Renee, very idealistic, very fun, very nice, very sweet, trying to find the love of their life, successfully acquired the love of their life? Or are you like me, that utilizes it as the technology that it was not intended, but designed or it became, and you maximize the fuck out of that shit, and you get to interact with as many people as you want, as much as you want, and you're kind of over it? Let me know.
I am also curious to know like how... or like what other people think about, you know, their relationship with dating apps and what they think of it as well. Because I think I know it affects everyone to some degree, and what are people's relations to it, especially people that are currently single who are like maybe wanting a more serious relationship. I am curious like what your relationship with dating apps are, whether you are trying to like be off the dating apps and like meet people in person, and what does that look like for you? I'm very curious. I do want to know.
And to that point, if not the apps, where do you find the most success meeting people? I'm sure that would be very useful information for a lot of people. Let us know where you're meeting people, so maybe we can meet some people where you're meeting people. Yeah,
Jem's like, let me know.
Whatever works. I mean, again, tools.
Right.
Everything's a tool. Use it as it were.
Right.
All that good stuff. But
yeah, no, I'm excited. My brain just completely broke. I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know what's happening.
Oh my God.
No, I think this will be a fun conversation just because, like we were saying before, my relationship, we met on Hinge. So I have a successful dating app relationship, so to speak.
She's the goal.
Yeah.
She's the goal.
I am what you guys want. Just kidding, but yes.
Kidding but true. Like, conceptually, yes. Literally,
like that.
Debatable.
Right. Exactly. There are things in this. There are things.
But no, and while she is the success story, I've probably used dating apps more than any other person I know. I get matches like crazy. I don't know how. I've unlocked the algorithm or some bullshit like that, and I'm a serial dater-ish, without being like the actual definition of the serial date. I've been on a lot of dates on the dating apps. Not a serial date. I've been on a lot of dating app dates. So I know how it works. I know how it affects the psychology of human beings. Right. And all that beautiful stuff. So dating apps. We all use them. We all kind of hate them at this point.
Yes.
But Renee has a success story. So
I do.
Just like to start us out on this discussion.
Sure.
How do you feel, just generally, how do you feel about dating apps? You specifically, Renee.
I don't like them.
Never liked them?
Not that I never liked them. I think before I just used them as people do. You just download them, you use them because it's convenient and a convenient access to dating and like hooking up or like getting like, you know, attention in whatever ways that you want or need. Want. I'll say want.
And I'll say need.
Oh, okay. For
Not
sure.
you specifically, but just like in general.
But I'm not really like the biggest fan of them because of the ways that I see people use them. Like when I talk to people, like obviously I'm not on dating apps anymore. I'm in a relationship. But like the way that I see people interact and use them, I think is often like pretty unhealthy or just like not actually. I don't know that a lot of people that are like really on dating apps, like, do you really want a relationship? Because dating apps are just at this point in my brain, just another social media app, really. So I just think like our relationship with dating apps and therefore dating is just all like fucked because of dating apps.
I agree. It's funny because dating apps are not like a new phenomenon. Ever since the internet has been a thing.
Hot or not. Well, that's not a dating app, but it was.
But like
fun.
even beyond like Match.com type.
Oh yeah.
Right? OkCupid, eHarmony, right?
Yeah.
And like the 80% match rate that people had.
Yeah.
Online dating has existed since the dawn of the internet. Since the internet was incepted, people have been utilizing it to
meet people,
for better or for worse. And it's always funny, right? Because whenever a new technology is introduced, you always have the people saying what they say about it.
Right.
Like, oh, a real relationship can't start off the internet. How can you know these people? You got to meet their families. And then you combine that with the divorce rate being like over 50%. Like, yikes.
Ugh, scary.
Maybe they were onto something, right? But I honestly think genuinely that not only are dating apps like really sinister, like the algorithm is a very sinister mode of determining whether or not you get matches. But it's fundamentally, like you said, changing the way we interact with people.
Yeah.
Because the algorithm and the situations that exist as a result of dating apps are not incentivized to like bring people together.
Like just like inherently the point of like, why do you create an app? To keep people on it. To
keep people on it, keep people using it.
Exactly.
Get your ad revenue from all the users and stuff like that.
So it's like, do you really, even like the reason why Hinge got so popular is because like we're the app that we want you to delete
it.
Right.
But
that was clever.
It was clever, but it's, again, sinister.
Yeah.
Because that's not what they're about at all.
No.
And if you go into it and like look at how the algorithm is pushing people to people, there's some dudes on the apps that don't get any female people in their area, like at all.
That's weird.
It's crazy.
And also just I've heard like in the last year or so that like there's like paywalls and stuff, like so many paywalls on Hinge alone. I don't know about the other dating apps, but like Hinge has become just like you pay
to play type stuff.
Exactly.
Which is like all fine and dandy, but once you add the money into it and you get those matches, it starts as a transaction. It's immediately transactional. Right. You're doing all these
You bought a rose
right?
to give to the person. Like you literally paid for this person's, like you might as well go on like one of those, like what is those like robots who are like those like Ukrainian girls who like you interact with that you paid to like interact with. Yeah, almost like that.
That is crazy.
But like even like I would say like Hinge almost feels like, or just having these paywalls on dating apps literally feels like that now at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And even
because half the people, I know so many people who say like, oh, I just like to like get these likes and talk to people. I don't want to meet up with any of them. You know what I mean? Like it just becomes like this. Anyways, we're going into it.
We're going to go into it, but even more so is I like paint this story because dating apps to me, and I'll talk about how I actually feel about personally dating apps, because on some levels they are useful. They are a tool to utilize, right? But their overarching effect, it's preying on our instinctual need for human interaction, right? So it's giving us a taste and preying on the natural human predilection to fantasize. Right. So how many times you're going down the street, you see this person like at the grocery store, and within the next 10 minutes, you have your baby's names planned out. You have the type of car you're going to drive, the house you're going to live in, all the dates you're going to go on, what his favorite color is, all these fantasy things that exist in your brain before you even said one word to this person.
Yeah.
Right. we have a natural inclination to do that. How much more often are we doing that with social media, with these dating apps that we see? We're creating this version of this person in our brain, and we are basically finding every reason to maintain this idea of a person that we have in our own minds. And instead of actually finding a human, interacting with an actual human being, saying hi to the person across the way, making it a reality, we are just going to the next one and going to the next one and getting that instant gratification, that whatever, maybe it's dopamine, maybe it's something else, just in our brains, and we want that, which makes us crave human interaction even more.
Right.
Which, instead of, again, going to actually get human interaction, we are feeding it with an app that is preying on our ability to fantasize and making us want it more. And instead of going out, it's just like a cycle over and over. We want it more, so we get it from there, which makes us want it more, so we get it from there. And instead of just like talking to a human being, it just exists in our brains. And when we're about to wean ourselves off of it, I don't want this dating app anymore. They hear you in those freaking phones, and they'll send you a super hot person. And it's like, then you start fantasizing, like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. Like, all the things we can do. I can take her out of this place. I'm finally a person that's worth my value. And
there you go. The cycle continues.
But it was a bop the whole time.
Oh, no.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, they prey on apps in general. That's what they do. They literally they understand the psychology of how to keep a person interacting and engaging in the addictive natures that it gives us. And they literally use that to their advantage. And even I see with people, it's in that preying on it, it kind of brings out this ugly side of people, in the sense of, I've heard, and I know when people say this that they don't mean it in a bad way, or they don't mean it in a way that's harmful to themselves or whatever. But I don't think people realize how harmful it is. I hear a lot of people say you go on Hinge, and I enjoy it because I get all of these likes. I go on there and I see all these people that have matched and have liked my profile. And it's just this huge ego boost that you kind of use to just kind of validate yourself. And and then you're just okay, I got my fix, I'm done. And it kind of goes back into now we're using people, but we're not really using people. They're people, but they're not people on these profiles. They're just profiles that we're using, and we can present our best selves, and even just the stereotype of people not putting relevant or current photos of themselves on their profiles. That's
how I looked when I was 19.
Exactly. Right. Okay. You look a little different
now.
Right. Man. Be okay with the way that you look at this current moment. But it really I don't know, it dehumanizes the whole experience of it, it really desensitizes you from people. It really just puts it, because dating, it does have to be self-focused, right? You do need to prioritize yourself first when you are interacting and dating and whatnot. But it's different. It's this really selfish, self-centered, I just need this ego boost and then I can move on, and all these people like me. And it's does that really mean anything though? But like you're saying, it's just all this gratification and a dopamine hit, and then we move on. But there's no actual substance to what you're engaging in at all. So then it takes a substance out of dating, because then you're, like we were saying, or what we're trying to say right now, how we are now beginning to relate to dating and people in dating, because we are engaging on apps in this with a lack of substance. Then we just in general start relating to relationships in that way. And
we kind of forgot what relationships are supposed to be, supposed to look like.
Right.
And I wonder too, since you kind of met your human through this app, right?
Right. I'm saying all of this, yet here I am.
Yeah. And you are the success story, and you do have this reality.
Hinge, can you sponsor? Not me saying all this, just
fuck dating
shitting on
apps,
them.
they're so bad for our relationships. Sponsor us, please.
If you want to sponsor us, let me know. I will take your money.
You probably would do it too.
Gladly.
That's the craziest. She's a sellout before she even starts. started. That's crazy.
Get your money up, kings. Anyway,
right. I'm not gonna do it to y'all. I'm good. I'm good off that. But to that point, I wonder if the first part of your relationship and the struggles you guys had was in some way a byproduct of that misconception of what relationships were supposed to be versus what your expectations were based on the app, how the app was affecting, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I mean, yes and no. I think that Matt and I'm like trying like how to like I think like when we like so we matched on the app and we talked like briefly on there, and he's a big jokester, so we were just making like it was literally like a whole joke, like the entire conversation was just one big joke. And then we kind of like, then we didn't talk at all for a week. Like he like left me on red. Like we didn't talk for a week. And then he asked for my number.
Bold.
Yeah.
Hear that, guys? Leave her on red for a week.
Leave her on red.
For a week.
Actually, it's funny, like from his perspective, because he went on a date with another girl in that week. And he kind of was just like, okay, whatever. Like I'm going to like forget about this girl, Renee. And went on this date with this other girl that didn't pan out, and then he kind of was just like, okay, let me just see what this girl's about. So then messaged me again, got my number.
That's so crazy.
And I know, and both of it, because even from my perspective, I didn't even notice that. He was like, yeah, I left you on red for a week. And I was like, honestly, I didn't even really.
I was talking to all the other guys on my head.
I really like didn't care. I like about him either. I was very much like,
these rules mean nothing.
Right.
That's so
I'm like, okay, because also during that time, like I was telling you, during that time I was already kind of like, I don't even like know that I really want to be on the apps like that, where I want to, like I was really questioning. I was like, do I really want to meet my person this way? And like, is this the way that I want to engage with dating? As I was kind of, transitioning into like talk about your relationship with dating, I was really kind of reframing that, because I had engaged in it obviously early 20s in a very casual, very cavalier way, and I wanted to approach it with the due diligence that it deserved, and I was starting to feel as if dating apps wasn't the way that I wanted to engage with dating.
In that story, I realized that we're the worst examples to try and see like, oh, is this affecting us? Because we're very adamant about not being affected.
I will never be affected.
I'll try my best not to.
Right.
But I get that.
Right.
We were having those conversations, like you said.
Yeah, we were we were having those conversations. But I guess I don't think that it does, because I think then once we actually did start talking, we immediately went to text, but we were sending voice messages back to one another. We were really having like these long like conversations via voice texts. And I think that, I don't know, it was like neither one of us was really engaging in it in this like gamey way, if that makes sense, where I feel like a lot of people kind of do, where you kind of engage with like the dating apps in a very much like, oh, I have like my roster, I have my people, like, okay, I'm gonna go on this date, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't really doing that. Like I had gone out on other dates, but like I wasn't like gaming it up. He wasn't really gaming it up. Also, just like, I think, like I said, success story, but there was a lot of variables. I was just like, it just happened to work. Both of us at the same time were, looking for more serious interactions. And not to say that we were both intently like, I mean, me more so than him, I think, looking for a serious relationship, but we were engaging and dating in a more serious manner than a lot of people maybe would be. And then we just ended up being compatible. Like, it's just like, yeah, we met on a dating app, but we just also ended up just being very compatible.
Like if you guys met in person, it probably would have progressed the same way.
Maybe. Because this is the thing. Okay. Actually, I'm glad that you said that, because we have talked about this, and this is the part of like dating apps where I can see the utility in them, because Matt is not the type of person to really like, he doesn't like
put his best foot forward.
Not that he doesn't put his best foot forward. And I don't want to say that he's shy, but he's kind of shy when it comes to girls. And not that, and I don't want to like say that like, because I'm not like, he's not like.
Talk to it.
Right, exactly. It's because it's not that at all. But like Matt, he doesn't
He's a little more reserved.
He's a little bit more reserved. Like he doesn't go out like that. Like he's very much like really, especially during that time too, so goal oriented. He kind of just existed in his bubble of like being an athlete, working out. Like that is where he was like, and that is why he went on dating apps, because otherwise he was just around a bunch of bros. He was just literally around a bunch of bros all the time. Yikes. And like his one like girlfriend, like
also yikes,
who like worked, well, like there he has a good friend who worked at a gym and was like this girl. So
basically another bro.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. She was in a girl's body. Like she's so sweet. But yeah, she's amazing. She's not like a bro. She's a girl, but she worked at the gym.
Right.
Anyways, but I guess from my interpretation, like he was like most of his time's existing in that space of just being around a bunch of bros. So going on the dating apps was useful for him. And that's why I don't know that we would have met if we weren't on the dating apps, because we weren't necessarily interacting in the same spaces. Like there wasn't much overlap in our lives in terms of like hobbies or like spaces that we went to or existed in. So we wouldn't have met in that way if not because of that. But I do think to the difficulty in meeting someone on an app and kind of what you were saying before, that kind of creating some of the struggles that we had in like coming together at the beginning of our relationship. When you meet someone on an app, you have to merge, like you go from zero, like completely two separate situations, unless you get lucky. You do meet people on apps where it's like, oh, we happen to meet in these
so
ways.
Compatible. Like, holy shit.
Well, like you happen to like meet in these spaces in a similar way, like physical spaces. Mm-hmm. You're having to merge that completely in a lot of ways. So you have two completely different friend groups. You may interact in like two completely different spaces, two different areas of the city and whatnot. And you kind of have to merge that together. And that was what, like, for us, we had to do. Because it seemingly, at the beginning of our relationship, we were existing in two completely different spaces and had to merge that together. But then once we did, because where our similarities lies in who we are as people and how we see the world and our perspective and everything, where we then apply that as two different spaces. So that was like the merging that we had to do. And that can be really tough when you've met someone on a dating app, like I said, because you're kind of cold meeting, was it cold call? You know what I mean? Yeah. A person versus if you meet someone while out existing in the world, you may be meeting them because your lives are already crossed in a way.
No,
do you know what I mean?
True.
You know what I'm trying to say?
That's super true.
Yeah.
But I mean, on the one hand, what you're saying is that this was all just chance and you just got lucky. Good for you. Yeah. Love that for you. Yeah, love that for you.
Not the saltiness.
I love it for you. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't know why I'm like looking like that, but like I really love that for you.
Okay.
But like also on the other hand, it seems that in that chance of your guys' compatibility, you do also utilize the apps in the most idealistic way possible. Like you are what the apps were trying to get when the apps were created, if that makes sense.
Right. And like what they're selling.
So
like,
both people are like, oh, we both want serious relationships. I'm using this because I have no other avenue and really to interact with people. I'm very busy. I have my life going for me. Yeah. And this became an avenue in which to genuinely meet a person that we just so happen to be compatible with. That's what they're for. That's what people, that's what they were created for. And you were using it like that. And it just so happened that you guys were compatible and it worked.
Yeah.
2 years almost in. Let's go. That's kind of crazy. It'd be 2 in January?
2 in January. Yeah. I know.
Insane. Absolutely insane. So also hilarious dichotomy between like your experience versus my experience.
Right.
I am definitely using the apps for what they have become and not what they were created for, which is like so hilarious to me. Because to me,
appreciate the honesty.
No, yeah, I'm not gonna fabricate this. I'm not gonna be straight up, right? Because I am a practical person beyond everything. I am practical to a fault. Probably yes, to a fault. I'm too practical. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm going to meet the love of my life on a system that I observe and I see isn't operating in that capacity. True. I'm going to master the craft and be the best at what it's operating in at the same. I'm not an ideal person, right? I'm not idealistic. You, romantic, fun, it is what it is. You're like, I'm going to meet my
romantic and fun. You're practical.
I'm practical and whatever the other adjective is for that. I don't know. But I got really good at using the app for what it became and not for what it was created for. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I want to go back to an idea that you mentioned earlier, self-focus, right? So dating should be self-focused. But the error with dating apps, just apps in general, is that they take one like element of the human experience and they hyper-focus on that one element and they expand it out of proportion.
Yeah.
So trying to think of a good example. Vine.
Okay.
Right? Vine was humor, 7-second humor. And it took humor and it exponentially made everything funnier, right? If you could make something funny in 7 seconds, everything was crazy funny. For beauty, Instagram, if you're beauty, even more beautiful, right? You got your filters. You got your freaking editing things that are on Instagram. The sun is brighter. The sun is more yellow. This, that, and the other. It's like, that's Instagram. The socialness of Facebook. Those limiting beliefs that those social circles hide you on freaking Facebook, right?
At the Facebook groups.
Yeah, the Facebook groups. Like, what we believe it even more so because like we're all here believing the exact same thing. It just takes whatever it is and makes it even more so.
It.
So if dating apps, or if dating is supposed to be self-focused, at the preliminary like moments of it, you're supposed to do things for yourself. Do I like them? How am I feeling in this situation? How am I affected by this person? If that's how it's supposed to be, dating apps will take that, and when you remove the human aspect from it, like you were saying, you're not using people, right? Not using people, but you're operating in a sense that is 100% for you now because you don't have another actual person to balance that against. So even if you're self-focused, you are still having to like care and think about the other person, what they want, what they're feeling, if they enjoy themselves on these dates. You're kind of adjusting naturally for these people.
Right.
Dating apps, you don't have to do that. You owe people nothing. They owe you nothing. You can say the most egregious things that you possibly can.
Right.
And because there's no consequences for really doing that, like within reason, right? I tended to push the limits of what was like socially acceptable. And I guess that's a really good place to talk about how I use the app, because very quickly I realized, and this was when I was younger and I was not really relationship focused in the beginning, like at all, like dating, relationship, who cares?
Yeah.
Not me.
Not I.
Not me. I'm young and beautiful. I don't need to be worrying about these long-term relationships.
Stuff.
Like, you know,
No,
I told you how I realized this was a mistake now, right? But before it was just literally a means to an end. And I am in the top 10% of the men that actually get matches on the dating app. So for all the other men that are struggling and they have like this mindset of like this desperation, they just swipe, whoever get, they're like, please match with me. And then you get the girls who have the people that are like weirdos. Like, I'm matching with nothing but weirdos. Like, no, I was not that person. Most of the people that I liked or like I commented on, I got matches on, especially on Hinge, because Hinge I could really curate my profile to really stand out among like people's on Hinge. I went on the guy side and got a whole bunch of guy profiles to see what they were doing, and I was like, this is ass, bro. Like, this is bad. Like, their one-word response to their bullshit type thing, like, it was not a thing worth like even comparing myself to. So I was like, all right, let me use 2 sentences for this response. Let me have a very funny voice prompt. Let me put my best pictures. Let me do something that like I love, like my cooking stuff that was on there. So my profile is like really geared to stand out among people on Hinge who are looking for like more serious, like more interesting connections. I matched the hell out of it to the point where like I got so many matches that I found a response that worked for all of them.
Oh no.
And I was
you turned yourself into the algorithm.
No, yeah, exactly. In like a weird sense. I found the response that worked, that everyone that I would always get a response to, copied and pasted to every single one. I still have 300 matches on my Hinge that all have like the same response.
Yeah.
Even some I didn't respond to because I was so over it by that point.
Right.
Pushing the boundaries. Saying what this is, like you hear the stories on the internet, like these people are just asking like to fuck, whatever. I would try that, see what happens. I would say something like, completely out of pocket, like out of like really like the most obtuse thing that you could possibly think of.
Yeah.
I was saying it's the other act. Sometimes it actually worked. And then when stuff like that works, it completely even more desensitizes you from the actual spin. Like, this is not
like
even
a game.
Yeah, like this is even real, bro. Like,
Right.
I can literally do whatever I want.
Right.
And I can still get the thing that people are like begging these apps for. Like, I understand if I wasn't getting any matches and I was struggling for these things, I get like the desperation and the frustration and the I need another action word, but I don't have it. It's like, I understand that because I have people that were talking to me, people that were wondering how I can go on 7 dates a week and trying to like get my strategy and stuff like that. I should have made TikToks about that. I probably would have been so famous about it, but I'm not trying to be a pickup artist, you know? That's so lame to me. We're not going to segue into that at all. No. I refuse. My secrets are my secrets. They work, so I don't want to give them to people.
Right.
You know? Come on.
Not. Hold on to that. Gatekeep king.
I get the frustration of people who weren't utilizing like that, but like they say, the top 10%, the top 20% get 80% of the matches, and the top 10% get too many matches. So they don't value any of the matches that they get.
Right.
It was actually a game to me.
Right.
To see what would happen, to see what would say, to see how many numbers I could get in a week, to see how easy it would be to get on this date. And every single date, most of the dates, 99% of all the dates that I went on were like good dates, amazing dates. What do I have to show from it?
Right.
Fun experiences.
Yeah.
I did not care at all about the other person on the other side of that screen because the app and the interaction that I was having on these apps robbed them of the humanity. They just became another number in the system.
Right.
They became another pretty face that I could say that I was able to acquire.
Right.
It takes the male propensity to pursue to like a crazy extreme. And if you can really have success in that, it's just like another number, another check mark, another body, like they don't matter. And to the point where it's like, and not even in like this malicious like fuck boy way, because a lot of these girls I was not having sex with. Yeah, it was just, I want to go to a restaurant. Let's go to a restaurant. I'll pay for the thing. It is what it is. Right. Talk to people like they're a human being. Have a good time. They're thinking that it's really good. In my brain, I'm just like, I'm just going through the motions. I'm playing the part. I'm doing what I have to do to get through this because it's just a thing to do. Right. And that's why, like I said, I have like hundreds of people in my Hinge at this moment that I'd never responded to. Yeah. People that reached out, I'm like, oh, how you doing? Like, do you want to meet up? All this stuff. I matched with you. That's enough. I don't need, like, why do I need to put myself out there even more? I already got what, like, I needed, what I wanted from this tiny little bit of gratification, because that's all it was. Just, I could match with you. Yeah. And I could. And once I got enough numbers, it's like, now that's not even important to me anymore. I know I can talk to you guys. I know I can date you guys. Now what am I looking for? Something that's better than all this stuff. Something I can't find on these apps anymore. Yeah. Because I've already like broken the system for myself in a way.
Broken yourself almost too. Like,
I don't know if I'm broken per se.
Well, like it's because like a harsh way of saying it, but like,
I can still go out into the world and like interact with human beings.
Yes, but like getting to that point, like to where you did like interact with dating in that way, it's a sad thing, don't you think?
In retrospect, yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad that it became that for me. But also cool that I could do it. You know what I mean?
But isn't that even being able to, even saying that, it's like triggering that very thing that we're talking about this like ego that it like scratches, like the self-gratifying.
That's fair. In real time. In real fucking time. That's very true. Yeah. That's very true. So maybe I should feel better about it. Maybe I should feel worse than I feel. Yeah. Because of what it did. Yeah. But I'm like, nah, man, that's fine. I'm chilling, dog. Right. Let's see how many matches I can still get type shit. Yeah. Maybe I should be more affected by it. That's something to think about.
I think your ability to like switch and shift, because I think a lot of people, like when they get to that place that you were at with the dating apps and the way that the mindset, the way that you were interacting with it, a lot of people, it really impacts then it seeps
Like
into real
everything,
life dating,
yeah.
real life interaction,
Now
relationship.
everything's a game. Now nothing matters.
Yeah.
And they can't find the value of a human being.
Right. Whereas I think you have a good ability to, like we were saying, like, scope out, see what's going on and adjust.
Yeah. Because humans 100% will always fascinate me. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's why I don't feel bad about it. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay.
Just the way that you interact in the world, it's always a social experiment.
It's always a social experiment. But even beyond that, it's like this experience, while I didn't value the app or the people that I was getting from the apps, it made me a better dater. It made me better at like cultivating romantic situations, understanding how to date people.
Sure.
And like it's an actual skill that I have now.
So there's,
So like again, for me, it was a tool, a means to an end, an experience to have that one you can only really have when you're in your mid to late 20s, early 20s, in your 20s, basically, versus some of my compatriots, my peers, if you will. Like, they go on maybe 3 dates a year.
Yeah.
And they barely know how to talk to women. And it's really like awkward and stiff and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I'm like sitting there next to them, just going out with them. Like, why are you talking to her like that, bro? Like, what? Like, come on. Like,
yeah.
Like, as much as the human aspect was removed through the interaction I was having with them personally, I still interacted with them as human beings, which sounds mad contradictory, but that's kind of how it was.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it was. Like, they became like the tallies of a acquisition, but if I was going on a date, I was very present on the date.
Totally.
Right?
100%.
So even if it was just for that one date, those couple of dates, I can
and I'd probably say
pretend.
that a lot of people who are interacting on dating apps in that way will probably say the same, right? I mean, and maybe for different reasons of like, well, I am looking for someone. They are being like honest and like what's the word I'm looking for? Earnest in like their like pursuit of like connection and whatnot. But just like, there's like this underlying like, part of it that is.
Maybe it's reversed.
What do you mean?
Maybe the overarching sentiment that they tell people is that they're looking for something serious. Wait, no. The underlying sentiment is that they're looking for something serious.
Yeah.
But the overarching sentiment is the bad part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like in the back of their mind, it's like, most people that you talk to would be like, yeah, I would love a relationship. And they interact with earnest and they're like they take it seriously. But if you get enough matches and you remove the humanity out of people, or even it's like, because not every one of my matches was a success.
Yeah.
You match with someone that you really like and they unmatch you for no reason. It's like, okay, and now I have to go to the next person. You have to start all over again and stuff like that. That interaction starts changing your association with things. It starts affecting the way that you interact with those space. And even if your underlying intentions are pure, by that interaction through the app, it gets, what's that?
Muddled, twisted, corrupted.
It gets a little corrupted. Like I mentioned, the intent's to be together, but like, what are you actually trying to be with? If you strip away the humanity, what are you left with? You're left with looks. You're left with very superficial things. How they can craft sentences, right?
Yeah.
Things that don't really matter that much into most human interaction.
Right.
So as you're matching, as you're doing all these things, you are really filtering for your own self, like actual people, and only going for like the most ideal people for you.
Like, if I'm gonna have to pick, I'm gonna pick the most like.
You're gonna pick the best, right? Not the best for you,
right?
But the quote unquote is like disambiguous best, whatever that means, right?
Right.
Which is why you have the aggressive disparity of like 20%, 80%, and like the very only really it's an app for hot people. Ugly people don't get matches on dating apps. Fat people don't get matches on dating apps. Like it's really just for the most superficial among us.
Sure.
And once you filter for the most superficial among us, you get the most superficial among us. No one's surprised.
Right.
But the more matches you get, even if you go in there with earnest, you start expecting that these people, because there's a concept actually in psychology where you associate hot people with having positive traits as well. I forget the term of it. But so you go into these things, hanging out with these hot people, and you're expecting them to be like these great people. You're expecting them to be their perfect human beings. You're expecting them to add all these things to your life because they're supposedly like the perfect match for you.
Right.
And in that process, you're not interacting with them as like an actual person, and you're literally looking for reasons not to interact with them. If they do something quirky, if they do something that's out of your perception of what is like idealistic or what is like perfect for you, you're like, oh, well, this isn't a person worth dating.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case at all. Like,
right.
You can even, and I can attest to your like relationship as well. The coolest things about that man is his strangeness.
Yeah, he's
right?
so strange.
And I can totally see a girl on a date with him, he's doing like what he naturally does, and like they're instantly getting the ick from it or some crazy shit like that. Right.
Right.
Like, what?
Because
like,
people no longer people no longer care necessarily for like these like genuine. People are just like just a human interacting in space.
Just a human being a human.
Exactly.
And you're icked out immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, he grabbed the handle with his whole palm. Ick. Ick. He ordered a Frappuccino, instant ick.
I heard one where someone was like, they went over a speed bump and his body went up.
Yeah, like, I can't control that. I can't defy gravity. Jesus Christ. He's affected by inertia.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
No, but that is very true. There lies then the ick, because we have in our head like this like framework of what, like if we're going to interact on dating apps, we must get what we think is like the best of the best in every way. And so when someone is not interacting in that 24/7 when you're with them, it's like an immediate no. It's like this.
We want like an archetype of what a human being is.
We want this like perfection,
but it's
that just
funny.
doesn't exist.
It's so funny because we don't want that.
Right.
Because if you got
but we're interacting with it as if we do.
Yeah, that's so bizarre to me. Because we human, like an actual person, me, an actual person.
Yeah.
I've dated like really attractive model people. And there was just nothing going on. And I've been with like romantically and intimately with the most attractive people. And it was just like beauty only like stands for words. Beauty only can go so far. Like it's only worth so much.
Yeah.
There's so much more to the human experience than just how a person looks. And like, sure, you guys had your little moment, you hooked up, whatever, their tits were nice, their ass was, you know what I mean? And everything was, but like post-nut clarity, now you have to talk to a person.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Literally nothing. Right. And it's not wasted on me. Like, or even maybe you can talk to them. Maybe they're great people, maybe you can talk to them. Maybe they have things to say, but they're shitty ass people. Like traumatized in a way that maybe traumatized is not the right word. That's giving the wrong impression. They're toxic, very unhealed individuals, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
And like, they're beautiful. They're beautiful, but they'll key your freaking car, you know?
Not the keying of the car.
So it's like we're not judging people based on like things worth judging people by.
Yeah.
And we feel so entitled and so deserving of these arbitrary metrics that don't really matter.
Yeah.
And when you tell a group of people, Gen Z, that they deserve the entire world and the world is shitty as the world is, but you deserve the best, and you filter for the best, then of course they're going to expect the best. And when they can get the best, they're going to expect it more. And then wondering why they're still so miserable, because those type of interactions don't work. You actually want a genuine human connection.
Right. That comes first.
And you're not getting that. So you're just like, well, if I can't get it from you, I'm not going to stop using the apps. I'm not going to go seek out a real, genuine human connection. Yeah. I'm going to use the app to find another person that's worth the time, because the narrative, the misconception is that you will be able to find what you want from the app.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
The app will give you everything you need.
Dating apps have allowed for us to interact with dating apps have created this environment for us to interact with dating as if it's like the produce section at a grocery store. You know, like
That's so true.
You go like when we're like shopping for like apples or like
that one has a spot on it.
Or an
I didn't want
avocado.
that.
Like we're gonna find the most perfect
perfect.
one. We're just looking for the most perfect one. Like when we're buying something, we're looking for the most perfect thing. We're not gonna get like a bruised apple. We're not gonna get like an avocado that's like not ripe enough. Yeah, never.
Mushy
Right.
apples.
And like as like us
That
living.
banana has a brown spot. No,
Exactly.
I don't eat them actually if they come like that, which is actually kind of insane. A little bit.
But like as like we do living, because we've even talked about this of just like living in a capitalistic society and how like naturally it eventually will grab its hands on every aspect of living.
Yep.
And dating apps have allowed for us to then interact with dating as if like we are now the product, like you had said before, or you had said off camera.
Which is also crazy because that's what they've been like. Anti-social media people have been saying that. It's like, you don't have to pay for all this good shit. It's because you're the product. You're the product.
Exactly.
Your attention is the product, and now your body is the product.
Your body, yeah, everything. It's like. It's because, I was listening to a podcast where they were like another podcast where they were talking about how like, if you had met this this person in real life, like even like the ways that like dudes have to like or feel like they have to lie about their height, right? Like if you met a 5'10" dude in person and he had a really great personality, you guys got along, you wouldn't care that he was 5'10",
right? But
because like we were saying, like you are on an app, and if we have the option to choose the most perfect, then we will choose the most perfect.
We kind of owe it to ourselves.
You feel as if, right? That's what you tell yourself to like convince yourself that that's
I
like
can get a 6'2" motherfucker.
That's what
I'm
gonna
get a 6'2" motherfucker.
Right. But then we're applying these arbitrary like things that like we were saying before, like lacks the substance.
Yeah.
Like where's the substance in that?
It's like I can get a 6'2", I should, and I deserve a 6'2", but like you're saying in real life, you're not going to reject the 5'10" for the 6'2", but on the apps, you definitely do.
Right.
You filter for 6'2".
Exactly.
That's the start of what you want, and that's what you expect.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
It's fun because it's really funny. I'm one of those motherfuckers that lies about my height on dating apps. But like, the lie isn't that egregious because like I'm literally right there. I wear the right shoes. I am what I say. It is what it is.
Wait, actually?
No, yeah, like I put 6 foot on the thing. I'm 5'11". I wear like the shoes. With my hair, I'm pretty much 6 to 6'1". It's not.
Yeah.
No one will ever freaking know. But to that point, no one will know. I'm really close to it, but anyone that's like 5'5" and below has no conception of
idea.
what 6 foot actually is.
I agree with that.
Thank you for all the short kings who've been lying, benefiting us like relatively averagely above the average height men.
Yeah.
Now they really don't know what 5'10" is. Freaking the girl was telling me
have
about
no
this
clue.
thing the other day about how her coworker was like, oh, I'm 5'10", but they're like the same height. Homegirl's 5'7". So somebody's lying. And it's not me. It's not me. So yeah, keep confusing the girls. They don't need to know how tall is. It is what it is. If you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't.
But that's the thing is like, and this is coming from someone who always used to care about height, to a degree still does, right? Like I'm not going to say that I would ever really date someone who was shorter than me. Like,
egregiously shorter than me.
Right, yeah.
To your point, you're tall as shit.
I'm really tall.
You're tall.
Yeah.
You're the one person on this planet, or you're
amongst
the type
the
of
5'10", the 5'10" girlies.
You are the type of person.
Shout out.
Yeah, tall women. I'm saying, but you are the type of person that actually has the audacity and the right.
Thank you.
To be like, no, I want someone that's 6'2".
Yeah.
Everyone below you gets people that are 4 inches taller than you. You deserve deserve a man that's 4 inches taller than you.
Sure, but like
relatively, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can want that.
Gotcha.
Not you
permission.
5'2" person. Like I need a 6'4" dude. No, you don't.
Right.
You actually do not.
Yeah.
What is that doing for you?
Right. Yeah.
Foolishness.
No, I agree.
Stupidity.
It's just like add that to the list of like arbitrary standards that we like are putting on things, and even the all the icks that we now have, like this new terminology that has seeped into like the dating world. Icks. It's all these.
The way
arbitrary,
a man
like
freaking smiles gives you an egg.
right. These excuses, these things that we come up with so that we don't have to so that we can just keep getting like the gratification, the quick dopamine hits from all these different people that we interact with.
Going back to Jada and Will, right? An actual, real, long-term relationship that has its ebbs and flows and ups and downs and peaks and valleys.
100%.
We're looking at a very natural progression of like long-term relationships and being like, what's wrong with you people?
Totally.
Like we're demonizing these people for just living a very normal experience that's very natural to the system. And we are like, no, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We can't even imagine this. Like that is so wrong because this should be perfect for us.
Right.
You know?
So like then on top of all of like the movies and stories and media that we consume about happy ending, forever after, whatever, like hopeless romantic love, we're also getting these dating apps that are allowing us to like attempt at perfectionism when it's not about perfectionism at all.
That's wild.
But yet here we are interacting with it in that way.
That's super wild.
It's really unfortunate.
And too, like the dude said, it's entitlement.
Yeah.
It's entitlement masquerading as standards. Like you can't have a standard of 6'2". Human beings aren't that
most
tall.
people, it's like a 1% of like a popular.
They're
It's very
taken,
few.
fam. And if they're not taken, they don't
something wrong with
want
them.
you. Like, no, there's nothing. They're 6'2". There's nothing wrong with them. They just don't
See, that's
want
the problem.
you.
That's
I'm
the problem.
I'm not gonna pretend. We all know what it is. We all know what it is. Come on. I'm not gonna. Come on. Come on.
No, but that's like the problem with dudes who are like 6'5" because they can get every girl. They then have this huge ass ego. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to try.
Exactly.
And like that's something wrong with you.
That is just the social hierarchy. That is what we determine is the peak attractiveness.
But like
that's
like,
not what we're
you
technically
can,
talking about.
I know, but like just like to make the point of like you can. Like 6'5" is like the mask. Now you don't have to be a good human.
And you don't.
I disagree, but go on.
I mean, like fundamentally, I agree with you. You know I do.
Yes.
Like you need to
You
be
do.
more than just a height.
Right.
Like that makes them more than like we're literally talking about that entire thing. But based on society, you don't.
You'll still be successful just because
6'5", that's enough. You should have seen how these motherfuckers were handling these guy at the restaurant who was 6'5" with colored eyes. Every marker for male attractiveness this guy had: deep voice, tall colored eyes, swaggy. It is what it is. And they were every single one of them. Every single one of them. All of them, like all of you,
all of you,
every single one.
Yeah.
And then he left, and they realized he was a fuckboy, and now they're like, they're trying to like recount what they said. Like, I know what you guys said. I saw how you guys interacted.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to change what you said now. Like, nah, I would never. But you would though.
Right.
You definitely would, and that's okay. That's okay. You don't need like if you're 6'5", you don't need much else. But if you're trying to be a actual human being, you're not a height.
Right.
You're not a height. And that is the crazy part. But yeah, like 6'5" is not a standard.
Yeah.
If it can't apply to the majority of people, it can't be a standard. That's a good rule. I just said that, and I just thought of it right now, and I didn't even I like that. If it can't be applied to the majority of people, it shouldn't be a standard. Like to the sense, everybody can be like,
if it's not a capability that
like most people can
have.
Everybody can communicate better, right?
Right. That's
Easy standard. I want someone who communicates effectively.
Yeah.
That can be a standard. I want someone who exercises and cares about their health. Standard. Everyone can do that.
Yeah.
I want a person with a six-pack. See, now we're
now it's getting a little muddled.
No, see?
Yeah.
Not a six-pack isn't healthy for everyone.
Yeah.
That can't necessarily be a standard.
Right.
But that can be a preference, so.
Right. Standard versus preference.
Damn it.
There's all these
I literally
things.
just gave you guys the out. That's annoying.
Why? Why did you do that?
In my own little situation. But no, the commodification of people, capitalism.
Yeah.
What late stage capitalism? We're not going to be a one of those podcasts.
Where we talk about we can be late stage capitalism.
I don't have enough information about it to be honest. But it's like literally the late stage capitalistic structure sinking its tendrils and talons into the conceptual ideas that we have Like now
these fundamental aspects of being a human,
you know?
Relating,
like
having relationships.
It's going to clutch whatever it can.
Yeah,
First it was the
money.
Nuclear family, then it was women working, then it was media and social and your interaction with like your friends and stuff like that. Now it's your relationships.
She's a greedy monster. She's a greedy one.
She is doing crazy things to our youth.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And maybe it's true that we grew up in a very idealistic time where we aren't necessarily as aggressively affected by technology because we were aware without technology to the point where it's like we didn't grow up watching iPads and stuff like that.
We're not like I see. Like
we still played outside as kids.
Right.
Yeah. We were playing soccer and football and tackling each other and having bounce houses and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where my little cousins, they were like
the iPad.
Born when I was 12 and stuff like that.
Right.
They were watching TV and playing video games and iPad children and where's my phone? Can I play games on your phone type kids with their snotty nose and dirty fingers. Like, no, you cannot touch my phone, little boy.
Little boy.
Go play outside. Like we had to force them outside versus we
begged for you outside.
No, you guys need to come inside. No, please. There's more to do. There's more to do.
There's more to dig. I have to.
Yeah. I think so we have the perfect balance of being able to utilize technology and not being like hyper affected by what technology is doing to people, right?
Sure.
We can be on TikTok and not feel insecure about the hot 16-year-old. That's not how I want to phrase that.
Yeah.
About like the 16-year-old that is more attractive than I am as a 16-year-old, right? Like, why do they look so good? Because they mastered makeup, right? We don't have that problem. Our little like Miley Cyruses and all those, they look like us,
right?
They were wearing those bullshit fashions, tacky clothing, crazy makeup. They look like kids. Disney was good about kids looking like kids back then.
So true.
So yeah, we're not affected as aggressively versus the early 2000s, the people that come after.
Growing up in this world where like it's not even just like, oh, dating should be like this, relating to other people should be like this, but now it's like this because of social media. To them, this is just the reality that they exist in. This is what dating is like.
Yeah, that's what dating is.
This is what even this is what relating to other people is like. So used to being able to have those parasocial relationships, you know, like it's so normal in their world because like they grew up just with the iPhone, you know, being such an integral part of like their lives.
Exactly.
But I like to think too, because sometimes I feel like because especially like younger Gen Z and then I guess into Gen Alpha, grew up with so much social media. I like to think in some pockets of the internet, I see this, there's, you know, a resurgence of like the rejection of it because it was too like, too concentrated in their childhood and in their day-to-day life. Granted, that's not really actually what's happening. Just like the pockets of the internet that I interact with, that's what I see. But I know that's not like the general reality.
What you're seeing is them utilizing the same technology.
Right,
so
the algorithm.
How removed are they
from
it if they have to interact with it to express that?
Yeah. But
interesting.
You know,
but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just being facetious.
And also, no, totally. Or even just like in like some conversations that I have with like my friends and whatnot, there is kind of, I feel like there is a sentiment amongst people that's like, I want to be more removed from social media,
like
from
lowering
technology,
your screen time and stuff like that.
Exactly. Then like I am. Like there's just like that sentiment that I see when I talk to people that's like, yeah, I would like to not be so. We haven't gone to that point where a lot of people are like, you know, social media apps are still making crazy amounts of money. But I do see that sentiment where it's like people are talking about it as if it's like they're like drug addicts. I want to like wean off of it, you know. I want to,
and it really is 100% a drug.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it too. One person, one company, or a couple companies, like 2 or 3 companies own all of these dating apps.
Right.
I think it's like Match.com or something like that owns Tinder and Hinge and Bumble and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So a company's incentive is to make a profit.
Point blank period.
And the app's goal is to get users so they can advertise to you. Those don't align with our personal goals are
Right.
as human beings,
Yeah.
right? Same reason why I'm like very apprehensive of the American medical system, right? Because with all the best intentions, I have friends that are doctors and nurses and all that stuff, but the system itself, right? Once you privatize and profitize all these companies and stuff like that, their goals, their incentives of existing, their modus operandi does not align with what I want.
Right.
They make money if I'm not feeling well.
Right.
They don't have an incentive to make me feel better.
Yep, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Fast food makes money the more I crave their food. They have no incentive to make it healthy.
Right.
Dating apps make money if I am single.
Yes.
They have no incentive to find me an actual compatible individual.
Yeah.
This is late stage capitalism. And you think that the apps can't do that. You think the algorithm isn't profound enough to do that. It literally is. It 100% is.
And the horrible part too about it is they have to do it just enough to keep people then coming back, right?
And
we have the
they know
success
it,
stories. You have to
right?
have those success stories.
It can happen.
Right.
It's possible.
So that's how they keep you there. 100%.
Living on a
100%.
dream. That's what they call it. Yeah, it's a rough place to be.
Yeah.
It's a rough place to be. And most people, the average human being, not me, the extreme, and you, the success story, the average person is literally just craving some type of human connection.
Yeah. And they're just
suffering.
It's so sad because you're right. Like it's like that's the baseline desire that people are, going on dating apps for. And that is completely being taken advantage of. And it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
It's just quite unfortunate. I don't know.
Like I said, that's not my problem. Y'all stay safe though. That's crazy. We good out here. That's rough.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, I do find even just the very reality that 80% of people aren't getting even shown women, let alone getting mad for people that they would actually enjoy being around. There's how many? I think there's 200 women to every 1,000 men or some crazy number like that. The numbers are not in your favor, sir.
Yeah.
Specifically, sir. Women probably have a better chance of finding the love of their life on dating apps. You know the type of man you are. You know if you're getting matches or not.
Yeah.
And it really just is just a numbers game that isn't in your favor. And to your point, if you go out into the world, you will probably have a better time. But you're so desensitized to actually interacting with people.
And now it's just become a thing where dating apps is such an integral part of the youth dating life that people just don't really try to interact and date out in life. Yeah. Right? It's almost become as this thing where it is now the only avenue that you can go down to because it's the most convenient. So then people just don't even try, even if they're not on dating apps, hardly even try when they're out and about doing their thing.
To develop the skills to be better people, to be more attractive to the opposite sex.
To pursue or to put yourself in a position to be hey, approach someone that you find attractive out in public. You know what I mean? Even what you were saying of your people that you see talking to girls all weird, not even know how to you know what I mean? It's
I hated that. I was so mad.
It's just creating this world where then in real life, when people want to engage in reality in real life with dating, it's it's suffocating and stifling that environment to do so because dating apps is the end all be all. It's the most convenient thing. It's the biggest thing. So now it's not even happening. Even people who want to, it's someone approach, especially now too after COVID. On top of that,
I think COVID and dating apps is the worst combo of all time.
Worst combo. Approach someone in public, it's off-putting. Why are you approaching me? There's people are shut down. Even I know a lot of my girlfriends. Yeah, right. But I know a lot of my girlfriends where it's sometimes it's a dude approaching you out in public, that's weird.
Yeah,
off-putting.
Whoa.
Okay, that's happening. Right, exactly. But a dating app, okay, for sure.
Hundreds of men a day.
Right, exactly. Now a bar and a club, that's a different story. But yeah, I don't know. It's really quite unfortunate how it's affecting. I mean, and it's the natural progression. Dating apps is social media apps. It's how it's affecting our social lives so and is my opinion in such a negative way.
And I think for the sake of conversation, we're focusing on the way that it's hurting us and not necessarily the
right. Because
use cases.
At the end of the day, dating apps are there. And so there is an important conversation of, okay, well, if you're going to be on dating apps, how should you use
to be
them?
on dating apps and stuff like that. We don't have an answer for you. We don't have an answer. I don't have an answer for that.
I mean, in a quick way, it's like it's hard to say exactly how. There's an element where you do need to put your best foot forward, especially when you're a dude. Because I agree, like there's, the
like
proportion
I said,
of men
don't
to women.
let women find out how tall is.
Like
Keep them guessing.
Like I agree with the sense, because even I was just helping someone out with their dating profile of like what they were showing it to me, and I was telling them how to like fix it so they could get more like
matches. And stuff like that.
more matches. And there's a level of having to like play the game, but then also being really genuine and like like when you're like chatting, not just being so dry and like, hey, how are you? Like having a conversation, how to, like, in my opinion, take the conversation off the app as soon as possible.
Conversing.
Get them on the phone on FaceTime as quickly as possible.
But only if you're good at talking on the phone and stuff like that.
But you just need to get good. That's how you get good, is just by doing it. How are you going to get better at it without just doing it?
Having more female friends. Sure.
But like also just doing it, like you match with someone, hey, here's my number. Can I give you a call? Like, whatever, talk to them. And if it goes poorly the next time, that ends the next time, okay, well, I did this a little awkward, whatever. Now I know how to approach it. You learn through action, right? So it's like, I always just tell people, like, I mean, it's like you play the game, but you also have to be as genuine in that game as much as possible when you're on the dating apps.
Sincere in the game as
Get
possible.
to that sincere real life moment as quickly as possible. Don't stay on the app so much. Don't use apps to feed your ego so that you can feel better about yourself. So you can feel like, oh, well, yeah, people like me. Like I'm good. I'm fine.
They don't.
Don't use it as an ego boost. Don't use it to like avoid yourself.
Yeah. Also that. That's another conversation entirely. But to filter everything you're just saying, it's just let apps be apps.
And get off of it as soon as possible.
Yeah. Be more in real life than you are in apps.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
No, I think it's pretty easy to do.
Not when you're
it's easy to
whack ass motherfucker.
I think it's easy to do in the actual application of it. Obviously, it's not going to be easy. I agree. Like it's awkward. It's difficult to like, hey, like let's, dating is awkward and difficult in general.
But I feel like our generation is very adverse to awkwardness. And we've over dramatized awkward to like be the most catastrophic event in our lives.
No, I understand that.
A person isn't going to be like nowadays. A person isn't going to be willing to experience the very natural progression of just like
you should,
but realistically,
if we're going to give like good advice, learn how to not be awkward. And you learn how to be less awkward through action, through putting yourself.
It might be easier.
Exposure therapy.
Sure.
Put yourself in those positions to practice.
I think it might be more realistic, more practical to tell people not to take awkwardness so aggressively.
Also that.
Like, you can't avoid awkwardness. It's like harder to get better at not being awkward. Some people got it, some people don't.
I think we're just talking to the two opposite sides. So I'm saying to like in this situation, the dude who feels awkward, it's okay to be awkward. Just through time and you'll learn how to be less awkward in these situations. You're saying to the girl, give the guy the chance, even if he's a little awkward.
Oh, that's cute. I didn't even know that we're doing that.
That's what we're saying.
That's so adorable. Yeah, girl, give him a fucking chance. Awkwardness is not the end of the world.
I agree.
Man, I think you can use your own discretion to decide whether or not awkwardness is awkward as awkward can be. I feel like most women have a very, very accurate radar when it comes to like strange men.
Yeah.
Like strange men are very easy to identify versus like you're treating like this shy dude that's trying to talk to you in real life as a strange man, like crucifying him for even trying.
Yeah.
But you want a relationship. The smooth, sweet talker is not the guy you want. Spoken from experience. I'll tell you that right now. If a guy's coming up to you in a bar talking about like, hey mama, how you doing? Hey, let's go somewhere and blah, blah, blah. He's done that 1,000 times, which is why he's so good at it.
Yeah.
Don't leave with him. That's a bad idea.
That's a bad idea.
I'm that guy.
For sure.
Don't do it.
There we go. Spoken straight from the source. Do you have any more concluding thoughts on dating apps and how it's sending us into our doomsday as a society?
I feel like I've catastrophized enough.
Yeah.
And like to completely reverse it, algorithms in a strange sense are kind of just a reflection of us. They're just a reflection of our worst sensibilities and our worst capabilities. It's an exaggeration because technology moves faster than the human mind evolves, right? So we can take it as like this doomsday end of all interaction, or we can take it as a warning of what can happen if we don't correct.
Yeah.
Like this is a perfect time, a perfect chance in our progression with technology and the internet and these apps and these situations to like take a step back and be like, is this where I want human interaction to go? The short answer is no, because most people want what the legends have foretold.
The legends,
the
yes.
happy
the
ever,
oracles
exactly. You will find your
prophesied.
soulmate and like you'll find the love of your life.
Yeah.
That's really what we're doing in an inadvertent way. Like we use technology to make our dreams a reality, make our fantasies tangible. And we're picking and choosing the best to hopefully find this idealistic sentiment of a soulmate, right? We know that it doesn't exist, but we sure are trying, right?
We want it. We
want it so badly. And this is the byproduct. This is the extent. This is where that ends up.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, it's a good opportunity to take a step back and be like, maybe this is not the right way to go about it.
Yeah.
And re-strategize. Re something. Re something. Like,
Something.
I don't remember the word, but get back. Go back to the drawing board, see what's going on.
Yeah.
Utilize the apps for what they are and interact with human beings as human beings. Learn how to interact with people in person more. It's a dying skill.
Yeah.
I'm learning that over and over.
I agree with that. I agree.
And I don't know, that's really kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Even people hate accountability on both sides, right? And people don't like to look at themselves like maybe I am not enough of what I need to be to get what I require or what I desire or what I think I deserve. People just like to be enough, and people are always told you should be enough for what wants you. And it's like, unfortunately, that's not the case because if you're not getting what you want, maybe you're not what you once type. I mean, you can become what you once type or change your type or evolve what you desire. You know, all these things are factors and qualities of how people interact and exist within each other's whatever. And I think that we need to stop blaming technology for maximizing just traits that we already have.
Yeah. No,
it's not necessarily the algorithm's fault for doing what it was designed to do.
Yeah. But it's, we do give it that power, right? Yeah. And
like, just like we designed it to do a certain task, we can not be slave to the technology. We can 100% be like, we are still human beings and know that this is not what I want.
Yeah.
Know what you want. If you want a cute girl with a nice body, understand that that's not everything. That's like 30% of the entire equation. If that, it might be less. 30 is me being generous, you know? Look for actual qualities that matter, things that will last longer than beauty. By the time you're 45, you look very different than how you looked when you were 21. And that's everybody. Even the most attractive people look very different than how they looked when they were 21. And that's not what matters. Does she make you laugh? Does she make you smile? Does she support you? Does he provide safety? Does he, I don't know, cook rice well? Some like shit like that. Like things that you can do when you're 85. Things that matter when all your friends are dead and your kids are out of your house and the only person you have to interact with is your significant other. Right. You're going to be mad that she isn't beautiful? Or are you going to be one of those creepy old men that are looking for 21-year-olds? Yeah. I mean, if you got the money, there are going to be ones for you, but still, that's not fulfilling. Right. We're talking about fulfillment. Yeah. And relationships are the one undeniable factor that is the most fulfilling thing in the human experience. We're social beings. We can't escape it. And we're really just shooting ourselves in the foot time and time again, trying to create the most ideal situation when the most ideal situation is probably right in front of us.
Yeah.
And we're too in our own way to notice, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
So,
100%.
apps are doing what they're working as intended.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to be beyond.
Yeah. We give the power, we can take it away.
100%.
I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah, that's
that
that
the
on
conclusion?
that. That's that on that for
Yeah.
me.
Same for me. Good stuff.
Indeed.
That was a good conversation.
Still no question, but for all intents and purposes, let us know if you use dating apps. And let us
Yes.
know how you use dating apps. Are you like Renee, very idealistic, very fun, very nice, very sweet, trying to find the love of their life, successfully acquired the love of their life? Or are you like me, that utilizes it as the technology that it was not intended, but designed or became, and you maximize the fuck out of that shit, and you get to interact with as many people as you want, as much as you want, and you're kind of over it? Let me know.
I am also curious to know like how or like what other people think about, you know, their relationship with dating apps and what they think of it as well. Because I think I know it affects everyone to some degree, and what are people's relations to it, especially people that are currently single who are like maybe wanting a more serious relationship. I am curious like what your relationship with dating apps are, whether you are trying to like be off the dating apps and like meet people in person, and what does that look like for you? I'm very curious. I do want to know.
And to that point, if not the apps, where do you find the most success meeting people? I'm sure that would be very useful information for a lot of people. Let us know where you're meeting people, so maybe we can meet some people where you're meeting people.
Yeah, Jem's like, let me know.
Whatever works. I mean, again, tools.
Right.
Everything's a tool. Use it as it were.
Right.
All that good stuff. But
follow us and like our Facebook page, our Instagram, our TikTok, TheIntellectuals, all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. I posted the first YouTube video this week.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I realized that we did not have a single full video on YouTube until episode 6. So I've been grappling with the reality of how bad I was when we first started this shit. So it's been a little, you see how you were versus how you think you were type shit. Like, the learning curve was steep, but we made it. We're here. So I'm going to start posting those more aggressively. We're going to line those things.
So you can see our beautiful faces, our beautiful reactions.
Our reactions and how Renee thinks I'm full of shit all the time and all that stuff. So follow us on all those things. Let us know, comment, share. Send this to your friend if you liked it. Let us know if you liked it. Send it to me, honestly. I would love to hear what you have to say. But until then, at the end of the day, I'm Jem.
And I'm Renee.
And we're the Intellectuals, signing off until next time.
Bye.